Okay,
Wait,
welcome.
whoa. Is everyone recording?
Yeah, I'm
Yep,
recording.
we are.
Okay.
We're
Great.
live.
Great start.
Yep, we're doing good here.
Very
Okay.
good. So,
Okay.
who wants to go
Uh,
over the introductions?
I kind of feel like I should consider I was the one who brought this up in the first place.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
So, hey everybody, I am Breezy64, Shadowbee64, Justin, whatever these people like to refer to me as. And in League of Legends, I main the mid lane, mostly.
Hi. I guess I'll go next. I'm Elliott. I'm the Below Zero gamer on the channel Below Zero Gaming. That's my league name. Add me if you want to. I probably won't accept it. I only accept from a lot of random people. But
You
I'll
only
probably
accept
refer
it
to
from nice
Elliott
people.
most of the time because that's my name. And I am a jungle / support main because I tend to play those two roles the most.
Oh, it's my turn now?
Yeah.
Okay, so, hey guys, this is Senfer chilling here. My in-game name is Senfer. I don't really care if you add me. I might accept it. I don't really know. I play ADC and top lane a lot, and it's kind of like weird how it intertwines and stuff. So, let's get down into it.
Okay, so me and Elliot were playing a ranked game together, and Dean was playing his own ranked game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that story later when we talk. We have a whole list of things we want to talk about right now. We'll get into that later. But we brought up the conversation of the current meta in League of Legends, and I thought it would be a good idea to just talk about it and try to express our opinions on what we feel the meta does for the League of Legends community in general. So we should probably start in the jungle, then we'll go on how it affects top lane, because those are the main two reasons, then we'll talk about everything else. So,
Okay, so I figured we'd go
Yeah,
over this.
you can start with the
variety
jungle.
of different charts here to
Oh, yeah.
assess the information.
right,
I have
we're on highest win rate right now.
Here we go. Charts
Right.
and statistics. Yeah, we are. So right now we're talking just about champions and their and who has the highest win rate.
And
And
I started playing Sejuani like a long time ago, back in Season 4, so what Sejuani does as a champion, you guys probably already know this, but just in case, she goes in and she just straight up tanks.
yeah, basically that's their main job.
She has what, the highest, literally
right-
highest win rate out
Yeah.
of everybody ever.
Right now.
And right now, yeah. But the thing, and she was the first person to people see get OP because of Cinderhulk being added in
Which,
5.5 or 5.6.
by the way, Cinderhulk was a really good item to make
oh
the
my God, go
jungle
away.
less overpowered and also increase the pool of champions that can be played. But after it got implemented, it kind of made tanks be more dominant over their
Yeah.
fighter counterparts, unless someone had been playing fighter jungle stuff like that for a long time, where they knew kind of the ins and outs of their champion, which is just standard league.
And then second highest win rate. It's Amumu. Amumu. Elliott's much more. He's the Amumu guy in our crew, so I'll let
Basically.
I'll let him talk about that.
Amumu was a strange champion in that he comes with a lot of CC, and you can build damage on him and still get tanky over the course of the game, which isn't okay because just
You didn't really like. This is just on my personal experience. Back in Season 4, when they changed the Elder Golem, you remember that?
yeah, I remember that. They
Yep.
added what's it called?
That's when Amumu came back, and then after they made the whole new jungle changes, he's sort
Now
of
he's
like
kind
tanks
of
came
vanished. Now
he-
he's coming back
now
up
he's
again,
coming
and
back because
made a
of
big appearance.
Cinderhulk.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
coming back into play.
Yeah.
Scion, I don't know. It's Scion top, Scion jungle.
Well, I
Sion
mean, they're
just-
practically the same thing.
Yeah,
They just straight tank.
yeah. Again, it's just another case of
Yeah.
a tank
Of a
being
tank being able to engage and safely peel while also just sitting there tanking it.
which isn't a problem.
Uh,
That's the tank's job. We'll get into the problem.
we'll get to the problem a bit later on. Do you want to talk about Jinx, Dean? Because you're...
Sure. So,
Well-
as Jinx, basically you have the giant, massive attack speed boost, which everyone adores. And Basically, all you build is armor pen because that's all the ADCs do nowadays. Because hashtag tank meta. And
Let's make that a hashtag. Hashtag
Yeah.
tank meta.
Hashtag
yeah,
tank meta
that needs to
2K15.
trend. That needs to
Yes. We'll get it on Twitter.
Yep, do everything about that. And the reason why she's so popular right now is because she does a ton of damage with AoE because of her rockets. The fact that she has her own CC to kind of help
And
her
her
out.
attack speed. Like
And then
just
she has
shreds.
execution that could just clean up team fights.
Yeah.
And then upon that, when she gets a kill, she just runs away.
Yeah.
So it's either that or she gets another.
Look,
So.
I really don't know why. Well, I really don't know why Heimerdinger and Malzahar are like. They're not really popular. Just that they have
Their
the
win
highest.
rates, yeah, their win rates
Win
high
rates.
because of their low popularity.
Yeah.
And the amount of success you have in playing champions. Truth
Same
be
with
told,
Swain. Leona. I think I should talk about Leona because I'm like
go right ahead.
the only person who plays Leona here. Basically, in the bot lane, there are mainly two types of supports. You have your engage supports like Leona, Thresh, and a bunch of other things. Blitzcrank, yeah. And you have your peel supports, which are your Janna, your Nautilus, I guess.
Even your Sona at times.
Sona. And the thing is, you hardly ever see Janna anymore, right? Like,
Well, in the low elos, yeah.
low elos, yeah. We're not the best at the game. We're in the like bronze, silver, so take our opinions as you will. This is just our view.
Own opinion.
Yeah, so like Leona, it's just that like if you Sejuani, she gets armor from her passive, okay? Amumu, he takes reduced basic attack damage with his E. Sion gets health by killing people with his W. Volibear, who's in there too, just gets massive health regen. Excuse me there. And Leona, like, she gets so much armor and magic resist from having her W on there that it just takes her as a actual tank to just that much better. And that's why she can be played with, like, any AD carry. Like, Leona Graves is scary.
Very much.
Leona Callista, we don't even want to think about that.
Leona Sivir is pretty scary for a team fight.
Leona Sivir just is, like, all the engage. And those are, like, the only AD carries you'll see. And Swain is just the Swain train.
He's not really
He's
popular,
always...
but he wins.
Even when you think Swain is dead, he's never dead.
Alright.
Should we move on to talking about the bands?
Sure, why not?
Go for it.
Champion bands. Okay.
So, let's see
yep.
here.
This is exactly how I expected it to be.
Yep. Sejuani being at the most, obviously.
Sejuani, she's banned in just about 75% of games. If you if you don't ban her at this rate, you're like...
You're not smart. She's broken.
You better pick her.
If you don't ban
unless
you don't
you
pick
are first pick and you or your friend main jungle and you don't ban her, you pick her or else.
Yeah, because the problem with Sejuani, and it's a problem but also it's not a bad thing, is the fact that she can build Cinderhulk, build straight tank, and still have damage. Now granted, it's only damage on her flail.
But still, her W, it's like that one massive like bonk on your head.
Yeah, she hits you in the head, and then she
and no, she goes in, she'll
damage.
ult you, and then she'll just sit there while her team chips on you.
Exactly. Which is a good... I feel like...
It's a good theory. It's good on paper.
But in execution, it kind of makes the jungle, like...
Well, we'll talk about, like, what this does to, like, the individual lanes later on, but...
It kind of makes her fun but boring at the same time.
Hecarim, oh Hecarim.
Oh, my baby.
Okay. I absolutely hate Hecarim.
Go ahead, Dean, you're the top.
Yeah, Dean's played Hecarim a lot more times than me. He can vouch for this.
Alright, Hecarim, basically you rush Tiamat and you just come in from the top lane into the mid lane. They have no single chance in hell to get you down. Besides, if you are going up against a tank in the top lane, who thinks that you're gonna go and kill him? You're wrong. Okay. His Q his helicopter. He will spam that for ages, and guess what? He will go in, not stop spamming, and finish you off 15 seconds later. Okay.
Let's go over the whole teleport home guards thing.
Yeah.
No, we'll talk about teleport in the top lane like later because teleport on its own is fine, but there's a whole other
issue.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There are a bunch of things that come
that
from
we can all thank Dark Horses for.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag pony.
Excuse me. Oh, LeBlanc. This is nice. I get to talk about 2 champions in a row. LeBlanc. I feel like that's all I need to say about LeBlanc.
Basically, here's what I have to say about LeBlanc.
Yeah, go ahead.
Place your nose on your Q key. Now proceed to just roll to the left and then roll to the right and get a pentakill. There you go. GG.
Oh, there's a whole can of worms about Katarina that I want to talk about. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, way back in DFG, RIP DFG. God bless our Lord and Savior DFG.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of like lowered her down on the spectrum a bit, and then I don't know if it was 5.4 or 5.3. They nerfed her passive, where it's not kill and assist. You have to damage them within 3 seconds of them dying to get your resets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people don't think that's a big nerf to Katarina, but it really is.
And the only reason that people feel Katarina is OP, and I think we've all complained that Katarina.
We all complained that Katarina is OP because you'll all
We all had a face.
People are good at Katarina.
People say Katarina is OP because they'll get low, like fighting everybody else, and then a good Katarina will know when to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fact that the person's good at playing the champion.
Like I know how
we had a game.
Like no, this is anecdote time. Okay, so all 3 of us were in a high school League of Legends thing where I played Katarina. Okay, so it was this huge team fight in mid lane. Like everybody on my team dies. Okay, I jump into the enemy team. I kill them all. And like I'm standing on a pile of dead bodies, which is hilarious in its own right. And then, like legitimately after that, whenever I would, I would be anywhere near team fights, their Lissandra would literally tunnel vision to me. It's like, focus Katarina if she gets that fed, and you'll be fine.
Exactly. That's another thing people don't seem to understand.
Focus.
And this is going to translate into the community, which again is going to be talked about
Communities later, yeah.
But
yeah,
the community tends, especially
hive mind mentality.
Yes, they have the hive mind where and it kind of relates to LCS, but you can't really blame pros for
we can
doing
talk
it.
about the LCS later on.
But no, I'm just using that as a of people play champions that are played in the pros because they think that they're OP. And then upon finding out that you have to be good at the champion, because I've done this before back in the old days, when I was like level 10, finding out you have to be good at the champion, they stop playing the champion. And then there's the person who did play the champion and kept playing the champion because they knew this champion can be OP if I learn how to play them. So then it full circles back around. They get put in the game with that one person who's good at the champion. That person destroys. They're like, this champion's OP, and it goes back around in full circle. Because this time, this person's like, I guess I should actually try and practice this champion, and it leads to it leads to a better and worse environment at the same time. If you understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'd like to add on top of that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, what happens with the LCS, they're using team fight compositions.
Yeah.
Mostly, or they're going complete opposite. Where
it's either
split pushing.
It's team fight, split push, and I want to talk about like there are 2 different types of team fights. There's 3 actually. There's the engage team fight where you have your Orianna ball delivery, whatever.
You place your balls in people's faces. Continue.
Yes.
Yep.
There's protect the double lift team comp where everybody peels for the AD carry and they Shrek. And then there's
your defensive come in on us, we'll CC you to death team comp.
Yes.
And each team comp kind of counters the other, and it's like it's a triangle basically where your
it's like the Pokemon triangle: fire beats grass, grass beats water.
Yeah,
Water beats
exactly.
fire.
Your defensive team comps will counter your
Engage.
team comps because they have the CC in defense to stop you from engaging.
Protect the AD carry comps will counter the defense because
Because
they'll
if
you can't defend against
you
the
can't
defensive
CC
team
the AD carry,
if they're
you
being
can't-
defended. And then
the AD carry will
engage.
destroy you
Engage defeats protect the AD carry.
because you have the engage.
Focus.
But there's one thing a lot of people don't seem to understand about these things is the word team, and the fact of the matter that team requires a lot of communication. And in a game where people say League isn't very fast paced, but it is, and at times in fast paced situations where you need to tell someone and you have to type to them, it takes time and you can't really do that.
I think jumping off of it's a team game, I think we can jump because everybody knows what people think of Aurelia. It's again the hive mind mentality of better nerf Aurelia. It means she's OP. That's all you need to say about Aurelia.
It was OP at one point. She's a very low skill cap, high damage champion. Which is what the pros tend to play a lot.
G-Bay says Aurelia. It's like she's easy to play and hard to master.
Yes, very true.
Her kit's basic.
That's basically it.
But there's a whole bunch of other stuff. That's all we're going to talk about Aurelia.
You can learn to do.
The comments are going to talk about Aurelia all they want.
I'd like to go back to the solo queue and team, the 5v5 team.
That'll
It's
lead us
completely
into talking
different
about
because
Zed.
you have synergy with your 5v5 team, obviously.
Yes.
But you don't have it with your
Solo queue.
Solo queue. So you have to kind of compensate what's a good carry role, what's going to happen in that carry role. Can I carry this stupid team with
I find that leads us perfectly into talking about Zed. Because, we've all fought that one Zed who just murders your butthole.
Yeah. Yes, basically. He bends you over and penetrates you.
He's just... Excuse me for all my coughing, but... He's that guy where if he snowballs, he can do anything. He can split push and 1v1 anybody who comes kill you. He can team fight and solo out your AD carry and just instantly murk them. Zed is the embodiment of solo queue, I find.
Zed, yeah, and it sucks because there's actually a lot of good champions that you won't see in a solo queue or in...
Because we're all scared of being called out for playing something like Bard. We'll talk about Bard when we get done talking about this stuff in general.
Let's talk about one who actually has a really high win rate, low popularity. He's not a popular champion, Nunu. Because the amount of
reliance on team.
Yes, there you go. That's what I'm looking for. The amount you have to rely on your team when you play is high because your ult is a game-changing ult, but you need to your team needs to know what to do when you use it in order for it to be effective. Because if you get CC'd at all or moved in the slightest way, your ult pops and it'll do no damage.
As opposed to sitting there and then channeling it.
And also with Nunu he's kind of not really that much of I don't really see him as a ganking champion. I see him more of as a runner around the map.
He's a counter gank.
Securing objectives.
He can counter gank too
lanes.
if he knows where the enemy jungle is. He can just show up.
Big time.
Buy Sightstone, put wards in their jungle, do that kind of thing as Nunu because that's Nunu's job. He has the kit for that.
I feel like Rek'Sai became the new. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
because
that's Rek'Sai can 1v1
she
people.
moves around a lot. She'll buy Sightstone because she's always moving.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is with Rek'Sai is that she can 1v1 people, which Nunu can do.
But you have to be really good.
Exactly. You have to know what to do. You have to kind of pick your battles, Nunu. Whereas Rek'Sai, go in, knock him up, kill him, the camp helps you, GG,
and then get out.
Get out.
Okay. Let's talk about Nidalee.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a sort of joke.
We'll use Nidalee as a segue into a next topic, which is kind of basically we're going to talk about the meta, how it was before, nerfs and bans they do, and good ones, bad ones, stuff like that.
And then after we talk about that, we'll talk about how it changes the lane meta, not just whole game meta.
How it affects, and then we'll talk about how the lane...
Nidalee, we all remember back before Nidalee got her changes, she threw a spear at you and you would die.
Yeah,
we all remember that. Then, mid-season 4, around there, they made her so you would play her AD Nidalee to get a bunch of auto attacks and bully them. You would play her tank. You could even do AP Nidalee if you still wanted to.
even though it wasn't the best. But
And
it was still
so,
doable.
and then they slowly nerfed AD Nidalee, and now she's back. But she throws your spear at you, then she jumps on you and kills you. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
They,
And then
they
she just jumps away again.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean about how we're gonna get into nerfs and buffs, because they nerfed Nidalee, but through nerfing Nidalee, they made her a more balanced champion. Granted, her AD scaling was really broken,
yeah,
but
like
people-
you all
It's like a
remember in
1.2 on
season
per
4
queue or something.
LCS, we all remember
People-
after All Stars, like everybody was like Nidalee was a picker ban champion back then.
yes,
She
And
could
when-
arguably still be one, but
nowadays her spears are back doing their damage. But when she was AD, people were, they kind of were turned off from the idea of playing Nidalee, which then again it made her
Well,
one of those.
back when
Yeah,
AD
you made her
Nidalee,
balanced.
the way you played AD Nidalee was max heal and poke them down with auto attacks so they can't do anything in lane.
Exactly, and it was a
I-
good. It wasn't a good place. It was a healthy place for Nidalee. It was a good spot for her to be in, because
And now-
in order to kill someone, you had to jump on them while in Cooling Form. But when you jump on people, you also leave yourself open to ganks,
Like, originally, Nidalee was the mid lane.
getting CC'd, things like that.
Her change
Very
made her a
good.
top lane, and now she's top, mid, and jungle.
Exactly. They made her AP again, which was a horrible idea, because now her spears are back to doing their damage.
And in-
Granted,
And if your
Don't
spears
they
don't
are
kill you,
more
she'll
narrow.
jump on you.
they are more narrow, but people always assume, oh, well, they're more narrow, so she's not as OP. But no one ever understands that really we're talking about solo queue here. In solo queue, unless you're stupid, you're not going to go in there not knowing how to play your champion.
I
So
mean,
you have to look at it from the perspective of a skilled player of that champion, and how you can make that champion more balanced with a skilled
Okay.
player doing it.
I-
That way
I
it
like-
gets skill cap.
nice. Okay, so, I think we should all pick, like, one or two champions from our own roles and talk about, like, recent nerfs they've had and stuff and how that affects, like, us.
Nerfs and buffs and stuff to them, because I have a few that I want to talk
I-
about.
Do you mind if I started this off?
Go ahead. We'll start off with our mid lane.
We'll start off with our mid lane and this girl right here. You guys can't see it, but I literally clicked on Ari right now. We all remember back when, like, her charm, like, it increased her damage by, like, 10% on that one single champion. And back when we removed DFG, rest in peace DFG, they nerfed
Which we'll
that.
talk about later. Item removals.
They removed her amplified damage on charm, which I was fine with originally. Like, actually, that's a complete lie. I wasn't okay with it originally because I felt it removed, like, Ari's.
Dirty. You feel see, with champions like that, whenever I play them, I'd feel dirty about
Yeah,
playing like
yeah.
a bad person.
Yeah.
It's like, and then, I mean, originally with DFG, like, I saw this comments on, like, her little nerfs a lot. It was like, she was originally an assassin mage, and now she's a mage assassin. But it's the fact of the matter, I just don't see why they needed to nerf her charm and, like, not have it do that much damage. Like, just make it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% increased damage. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still like keeps her essence.
Yeah, it's enough to make her have the burst that she needs to be Ari,
Like,
but also
all-
not have
like
a DFG amount of burst.
lore talk is everybody's favorite thing to do in League of Legends, right? Like,
Yeah, the lore is like, when you go into a game, all you see in chat is lore this, lore that.
like Ari's lore is that she was a fox, she became human, and she steals the life force of humans. So her charm dealing increased damage makes sense by a lore perspective.
Exactly.
But it's
But at
like,
the same time, by removing that, not only are you're slapping the lore that you created in the face, you're also making her a champion that, well, people think, oh, well, now she needs a higher skill cap to play. It doesn't matter if she needs a higher skill cap to play, because
Like,
skill caps don't mean
another
jack shit.
thing,
Again,
before
they
the
don't.
Ari nerfs, she was like a long range sort of like person. Now, her ult is literally, if you use her ult, you have to be in melee range to hit them. And it's, like, I understand high risk, high reward, but I don't think that embodies what Ari is. So, is there
Yeah, it really doesn't.
is there any other
And,
champion that I personally play that I should talk? I feel like I talked
you
about
would really-
Katarina.
I mean, I don't really know who else you could talk about.
Yeah, I play so many champions.
Yeah.
Alright, so
I feel like also
Oh,
the real way that people nerf champions in Riot, with Riot, they say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make this do less damage, blah blah blah." But that doesn't matter because again, from the perspective of a skilled player, that just means,
Oh.
hey, I just have to build more.
no.
I just have to change
No,
my build a little
kid-
bit, and I'll be back. At that same
I'm sorry
point.
to cut you guys off, but I just want to talk about, like, what I've seen from Riot's buffs, nerf, and buff thing. Like, we all remember Zir back in
Yes.
5.2, 5.3 when he was just a wrecking machine. So Riot sees that, they nerf him, and then they're like, oh, he hasn't been played much, let's give him a little buff back. I don't think that's what they should do.
I feel like what they're doing now, because they changed it to where instead of pulling a Gragas and gutting someone and leaving them on the side of the road to die, they're making minor tweaks every like on certain patches to a champion to see how that affects like their way of being played, which is going to again lead to the game being more balanced. so to
It's
speak,
good in
'cause there's-
theory, but
exactly. There's no real way to balance it unless you pump out patches a lot. You're not going to do. It's not going to do much.
like
Which they really
people
don't.
will find a way to like change it up.
Exactly. They'll find because Riot kind of tries to act like they're the judge and the juror of the meta, which in perspective they really are because they can
They make
can
the
nerf
game.
someone into the ground.
Yeah.
They can come in on Sejuani one day, be like, yeah, we're gonna take her percent health damage. It's gone. There you go. Boom. Sejuani's done.
They removed it from her Q and put it on her W originally.
Yeah, but if
Way
they
back
do,
when.
if they just
Way
remove all
back
the
when
other,
AP Sejuani was a thing.
Sejuani just won't be played anymore.
And then that completely removes a champion from the game, effectively.
Basically, and that's not what they want to do. So, but in truth be told, the players are the real deciders of the meta because it's up to them to pick how to counter pick. Which is why people who say, "Oh yeah, this champion's OP, should be nerfed," we all do it. But really, with the OP champions being in the game, it allows for people.
It gives
to
us
actually
more
have to think.
strategy.
Exactly, and while
Because,
people
like,
may
I
say, "Oh, well,"
remember back when I hated Oriana as a champion, I was like, oh, hey, I'm gonna, like, play Galio, see how it works. It actually worked really well, and it gives you, like, that little sense, like, hey, this could actually work from now on.
Exactly, and it gives it. People are gonna say, "Oh, well, then I'm gonna get 100-0 at every game by the Zed who pops his ult and then just destroys me." Yeah, but the more that happens, the more you'll start to figure out ways to stop him from doing that. And if one person does it and they spread the word, more people will do it, and then
Yes.
that'll shift the meta to another
Okay,
position.
Dean,
Oh.
Dean, did you want to talk about any recent nerfs or buffs to champions you play?
I want to talk about how Vayne rised so much
Oh,
in
okay.
popularity.
Decent Vayne NA.
Yep, since everyone loves double lift, we all want to mimic him. Okay.
Double lift.
I was
Don't
actually
pull
the
it
one who trained to double lift. Yeah, okay. Not really.
If
I
you
would-
have arc like
but,
Vayne, I'm jealous of you, by the way.
I know, right? But basically, Vayne grew so much because of her W and the fact that she can deal out so much damage with her ult as well. Since she went over and dealt a large amount of damage to all of the tanks and still have armor pen for every third hit, she got rushed for attack speed left and right, and suddenly she's one of the top tier to go up against the Nautilus support. Like we were talking about, hey, Nautilus support is like wrecking all
Nautilus
these
support
jinxes.
is
What
the
do we
thing
do
now.
for it? Now we pick Vayne to go over and counter that logic. Counter logic gaming. Okay.
Hey, Lamau.
Basically, we go over, pick Vayne, and it completely starts a new meta. So that's how
Okay.
I learned to love Vayne. And
Okay.
everything.
I know. I'm pretty sure I know who Elliott wants to talk about in terms of
Yes.
jungle, but go right
There's
ahead.
a few. There's a few.
Oh,
I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna bring up number one. You can probably see Kha'Zix right here on my screen
Yeah.
because Kha'Zix is overall my favorite jungle. Even if I don't play him a lot now, he's still my favorite. He's just a really cool character. I like his concept of the evolutions at level when he gets his ult, and he's just a cool guy. And he's a cool guy. So
He's a
the
cool
jungle
bug.
itself, back in season 4, was in a weird spot where it was a good place to be and a bad place to be, because good because you had your
The
it was very
trifecta
stable.
of junglers.
You had your trifecta where this against this,
You
and
have
just
your farming
triangle.
junglers, your ganking junglers, and your objective
Exactly.
junglers.
And you would know what your jungle's supposed to do. Whereas now it's a little bit harder to decide because between just the fact that camps can murk 90% of the people who used to be able to jungle out there, you can't really. It limits.
It
the pool.
reinforces tanks being a thing.
Exactly.
When
Because. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I just want to talk about how like it reinforces.
We'll get to the meta soon.
Yeah, it just reinforces tanks being played, and that's a whole nother issue.
Tanks in the jungle is a different thing because I hated the days when I couldn't play tanks in the jungle, which was around the beginning of season 5 because the camps did so much that your first clear wouldn't be the best. It wouldn't be the best. You have to go back. You'd have to buy this, blah blah blah, do this and that. This was before everyone figured out all the clear reps and stuff,
Like
where it
starting
made it a little easier.
Instead of starting
but it
buff.
still wasn't. It just wasn't as good as it could have been. And then Cinderhulk came out. Cinderhulk was like, "Hey, look at this! Now you can have your tank supporting jungles that can actually be useful in a team fight." And they can clear decently. Their first clear is still going to be a little rough, but we'll nerf the jungle camps to kind of make that a little bit easier on them. And it was good, but I kind of wish they would have nerfed the camps a little more so that way we would see more variety in our jungles rather than Sejuani,
Gragas,
Gragas, just there's just tanks. A lot of
yeah.
tanks. You see your Lee Sin still,
You
and that goes
still
back to
see
the
your
trifecta.
Lee Sins. Rek'Sai is still there.
Yeah.
You might see a
The
new
trifecta was, as much as people say they hated it, it really was a solid place. Because after they removed the attack speed debuff from Lee Sin, they say they nerfed him, but all they did was increase the skill cap on Lee Sin, which he's still, if you're good at playing Lee Sin. If you're not, he's going to feel like the worst champion in the game. And I feel like that was a good place for the jungle where here's the jungle, here's your skill cap, right? You have your low skill champions, your medium skill champions, and your high skill champions. And the high skill champions were high skill, high reward. Here you go.
High
You have
risk,
a lot of
high
risks.
reward.
You have to learn them in order to be good at them. But once you learn them, they're golden. And when I first played Kha'Zix, hated him.
I can attest to that. I can attest to that.
I played him once. I was like, I hate this champion.
That-
He's so
yeah.
squishy. He doesn't do anything. Blah blah blah. And then later on, I got better at the game. Hold on, I'll be right back.
All right, basically what he's trying to say
It's
here
like,
is that
as you get...
he went over and adapted
Yes.
to the game in his own way.
It's like...
And that kind of started shifting him to be
Yeah.
towards this type of
this
gameplay.
type of junglers. Like, me and Elliott talked about this yesterday, where there's like 3 types. You have your passive types of people, your aggressive, and your economy type. I don't know if you've seen that video or not.
Sorry, I had to help my little brother.
Oh.
But so I was saying Kha'Zix and how he got really. As I got better at the game, I found that I liked Kha'Zix more and more because I knew.
Guys, if you give me
More
a second,
things to
I want to
make
go see if I
OP.
have a water in my other room. I'll be right back. You guys can
Yeah.
keep talking.
It's fine.
Alright,
So
gotcha.
I'm gonna have to go get my lunch. I'm gonna get some food in a minute. But it's just Kha'Zix right here. His with his ult, you have to choose based on what you want to do at that point in time in the game, what to evolve. But now that after they nerfed his W, the healing that you get, it made me sad because his clear now is just not good. His first clear isn't very good. I don't like it, and that's what I have to say about Kha'Zix. So, Dean, you can talk.
Turns out I didn't have a water in my room, so I just went downstairs to the fridge.
All right, that's nice. Basically, what I'm gonna try to get into now is the fact that it's becoming more and more of a kind of protect the carries gameplay instead of AOE, all that stuff. And granted, that is kind of inside of it a little bit. Now it's like protect the Kog'Maw, protect the Jinx. So
I
now
like
it's kind of
protect the
it
double
gets
lift even.
really boring, basically, because all you're doing is protecting the ADC or the mid lane or whoever's fed at that time.
Yeah.
You know, and if your tanks aren't doing well,
That
then-
doesn't matter because they're tanks. right?
Sometimes.
If you're like playing
Yes.
like Maokai.
Other times, not so much.
I like Maokai, and I'm sad that he's not played more.
If you're playing Nasus,
Nasus is a
you will
whole other
basically-
issue.
you will most likely get a lot of gameplay, and you won't be able to see the enemy's point of view from it because you're just shrekking them too hard. You don't want to. So Nasus, he tanks, no doubt about it. He also does massive damage, but same with like other people such as Renekton, Gnar. They all tank and they do good amount of damage, but if you don't have the tank part, you don't last. Now it's to the point where meta is going over and being like, here's this giant wall, and
You can't
here are
fight
these
your
two
way.
people that are really glass cannons, but they can't really be the cannon part because they have another wall in front of them. So
So we're on
Oh,
now.
I think we should go from the top downwards. So we'll talk about top lane, and
alright, so
I personally, for me, there are two main issues I want to talk about in top lane. The first is taking camps at level 1 and teleport smite. So
oh yeah, big time. Me personally, I never do this because I just feel that it's just going to be too complicated for solo queue and everything like that. So, mostly what's happening
well,
with
starting with taking camps at level 1, if your character either has A, good AoE damage, enough sustain to last, preferably both.
Or your Scion.
Well, yeah, because people who do it, people like Cho'Gath, I've seen Elliott do it. Diana is admittedly pretty good at it. Scion is Scion.
Scion just does it because he can.
And
Riven does whatever she wants.
Riven is just Riven. Shyvana can do it.
Yeah,
It's
she's really
just-
good at doing it.
I don't like that type of thing because, to me, normally I don't play top laners who can do that. I play people like Fiora most of the time. It's Fiora. I do play Rally, but I just don't like doing it because it encourages just being...
Scumbaggy styles of play.
No, I'm trying to think of how to word it. It encourages using something that shouldn't be yours that early in the game to get an advantage.
Exactly.
Which
Truth be told, laners shouldn't take jungle camps until mid to late game because
they shouldn't take jungle camps unless A, your jungler is like already really fed and you're just snowballing out of control. Or B, if your jungler is ganking a lot and the farms and the camps are just sitting there.
Just sitting there.
Yeah.
because I mean if your jungle's ganking a lot, as long as but there's another thing about that is if you're ganking, if the jungle's ganking a lot, but you can tell he's low level, don't touch the jungle camps because chances are he's going to rotate back around, take those, level up a couple times, and then go back to doing the ganking stuff.
Okay.
Now, while because, and people will say, oh, the timers are so short. What's wrong with taking one and blah blah blah. It's really frustrating as a jungle main when I'm like, okay, here's this camp buff, right? I'm gonna get that camp buff. I'm gonna go do stuff with that buff, and then I'm gonna get this other buff. If I go to the first camp buff and it's not there, that's really frustrating because now instead of having it when I need it, I have to wait another 10 seconds, and a lot can happen within 10 seconds in League of Legends. So,
Continue.
I don't mean 10 seconds as in like, oh, it just got taken, I have to wait 10 seconds. I mean, I say like 10 seconds because, normally you come back around after it's been taken for a little while, so you don't really know how much time you have to wait, but it's kind of, you're like, well, now here's this thing that I would have used to be really useful, but now it's not there anymore, so now what am I going to do?
And then going off on what I said originally, it's like taking something that shouldn't be yours. We all love Smite Teleport Top.
Oh, don't we?
So, from what I've heard, there are three. I even saw one recently in the game. There are three main champions who can do this. You have Hecarim, you have Shyvana, and you have Scion. I feel like doing that, it reinforces the fact that either, in this meta, you're either a tank or you're useless. Because,
Unless you're the ADC,
Well,
that's a different
yeah.
story. Because the ADC always has a purpose. But yeah, it really is. You're a tank, or once the game turns into late game, which with all the tanks nowadays, your games are going to go to late game. Once it turns into late game, what are you there for? What are you doing? What's your purpose in being there? Which is why you see a lot of people again like Sejuani, because the
she
players
can
are
do
adapting.
things. She doesn't
players,
just sit there and tank. She knocks you up. She
has variety.
She slows you. She freezes your entire team in place.
And it's not entirely Riot's fault. It's not entirely the player's fault. It's a little bit of both, because as Riot buffs and nerfs champions, before they started doing what they're doing now, with their small buffs and nerfs, it would make drastic changes to where either your champion's good, and they get nerfed into the ground. Your champion's all right, they get buffed or they get nerfed by a little bit. Who knows at that point? Or your champion's bad, they get buffed back up to the top. Day later, hotfix comes out. Boom, they're back to where they were. There was no point in the game where this champion is going to stay the way they are for a while with champions that are being played a lot, because there's champions like Urgot or Sion that stayed the way they were for a while because they weren't being played a lot, so Riot would just ignore them.
I just want to talk about the 3 champions who we mostly see doing the Smite teleport. Hecarim, we've talked about what Hecarim does, why he does it.
Helicopter.
Shiva, that's alphabetical order, right? Yeah, Shyvana. Shyvana she benefits from being able to stack that much health. Because, her passive gives her armor, and she has a built-in flash escape with her ultimate, so... It's
don't mind this.
Excuse me. She has AoE damage with her W. She has % health damage. It's just and then we all know what Sion does. That shouldn't need that much explaining.
Sion punches stuff.
Sion just runs in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, as I was saying, I'm getting into the whole Smite teleport thing. These people are now bringing these top laners that would normally not be very useful late game. Shyvana, no offense, she wasn't the most useful champion late game besides popping her ult and then her W to get some damage off. But she didn't have a lot of damage because she was a tank. With Smite,
it's encouraging that
you can abuse the Smite to make yourself a damaging champion when you shouldn't be. Because with Smite, boom, get blue Smite, there you go. Champions with no CC, here's your CC, have it. Here's your 50%
though, so
slow.
You can 1v1 people a lot.
Yeah.
We've seen blue Smite though.
Yeah, you get red Smite, boom, here you go, here's your lane dominance.
You can get blue Smite, oh, my jungler is ganking you, well, you're either burn a flash or you're dead.
Yeah, here you go. But it's just...
I could even, in theory, see the counter jungling Smite if you're pushed up all the time. It's like, hey, you had an enemy jungle, you don't anymore.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it encourages... It's not a 100% bad thing, but it's also not a good thing either. And really, the cons outweigh the pros when it comes to the health of the game. Because now you're taking this spell that you shouldn't even be bringing as a top lane. You're getting rid of something super important, such as Flash. People are like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah.
Hecarim doesn't need Flash. She has an ult. Shyvana doesn't need Flash. They all don't need Flash because of their ultimate.
Exactly.
But if you punish that before level 6, that's what you have to do. But it relegates the jungle, and even mid lane, depending, to focus their attention on this top lane.
Who is going to be really good in the end towards the end of the game because they have their stuff. But right now they're bad, so kill them right now. It's a lot like a Teemo situation.
It's like what you do with Nasus. You put him down early, but he'll still murder your butthole later.
Yeah,
exactly. He'll destroy you because it comes to the point where you have more important things to do than to deal with the Nasus who's up there farming. He gets fed, and then he becomes your priority target. Which Nasus is a champion that needs to be fixed because he really is in a bad position when it comes to he may be good, he may be OP, he may do a lot of damage, but that doesn't make a champion good. That makes a champion viable.
Okay.
In order to be good, you have to be able to provide for your team in a way that's not you have to provide for your team in the role you're supposed to be. If you're a top lane, your role in top lane is push the lane.
As of this point in the meta, it's tank.
It's tank. You be your tank. And when you play champion who's tanking can do a lot of damage, granted you'll be more useful to the team, but you can kind of dwarf some of the other people, and then when you dwarf someone in the game, they start feeling they don't have to do as much, so then they break off, and it turns into a real bad situation when they're not there, and a fight breaks out that you can't win, because someone else, they're like, okay, well this person does all the damage, why am I here when I could go be farming, or pushing something else, or doing something else, which sounds good in theory and on paper, it really does sound like a really solid place, but it's not. It makes the game. It makes people feel useless.
And I just want to. This will be used as a segue from top lane to jungle, but with Cinderhulk, like normally, unlike those junglers, they build their Juggernaut before it was Cinderhulk and get like a damage item. You'd see Leandries on Sejuani. You'd get like Hydra, Bork on your AD champions. Now, there's no point. Just go full tank and you still do enough damage.
Exactly, and that's going something else, which is percent health damage, which, again, percent health damage is fine. I don't have a problem with it, but I have a problem with the fact that these champions who shouldn't be doing damage can still do damage to the point where they kill people. And I love Sejuani and the fact that I love playing her because of that one fact. And I feel like if you want to play a champion, you should be playing that champion not for the fact that they feel. How am I trying to put this? Not for the fact that they can change the way they're supposed to be played, but you should love a champion and love playing a champion because of you like the way they're supposed to be played. If you understand, like with Amumu, I have people who like Amumu because the fact that he is tanky and can just build straight AP. You should like Amumu because he's a CCing tank monster. That's what he's doing, not queuing in and one-shotting your whole team with his ult.
Alright, so basically what I have to say to that is something a little bit different. I'm not gonna say it in this call because it's kind of like counter-logicking that, and it'll take way too long. I'm gonna go over and meet you guys for a little bit and talk about that with my own self.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And, Elliott, are you done talking about the jungle so I can move on to... Mid lane! I love the mid lane because of all the ability to variety in it. You could have your Aries, you could have Ahri, LeBlancs, your AP assassins, Talon, Zed, AD assassins, Annie, anyone. You could have your engage mid lanes who still do tons of damage.
You can really play anyone in the mid lane.
You have Anivia, Cassiopeia, your sustained damage. Fizz, even technically. You have Karma, Kale, Karma, Kale, and Lux, your Peel people. There's just so much variety in mid lane, and like every little interval has multiple champions to be played. Like you want an assassin, Talon, Zed, LeBlanc, Ahri, Fizz. Just like making it rain with all of them. You want like an engage one who can still do tons of damage. You have Annie, Cannon, Katarina. Just you can give it all. But now, like, we all know who we see in mid lane. We see LeBlancs, we see Ahri, we see Zed. Those are like the only assassins you'll see. And then because of that, people will start playing guys like we saw Urgot mid in the LCS even to counter these assassins because Urgot's just good at that. And that rotates. And there's this trifecta of mid lane like there's ever else. You have your assassins, like you have your Zeds, who'll get countered by your Urgots. And then your Urgots, like people are playing Kog'Maw mid, Ezreal mid, Corki mid. You'll get like those people to counter your Urgots because Urgot just sits there and pokes. Like, Ezreal can outpoke an Urgot, Corki can outpoke an Urgot, Kog'Maw can outpoke that person. And then the assassins will counter like your AD carries in the mid lane because, look, you're an AD carry. What escapes do you have besides Flash and your Valkyrie and Essence Shift or whatever? It's just, it relegates it to just those three, and you can't play your people. Like, it's highly unlikely that you'll be able to play an Anivia game and do good unless you're like extremely good with the champion. You can't play Kennen that much.
Which, again, as I was saying, in solo queue wise, even if you shouldn't be good at a champion, that doesn't mean you're going to win, because if if the champion gets
Like,
counterpicked,
people
even if
always
you're
say,
extremely good,
like, oh, you can go blank, blank, and blank on Kennen, you should be able to carry the team. You can't carry a team because,
you can't carry a team
like,
of people who don't know what
like,
they're doing.
way back when Akali was good old OP Akali, I was doing a ranked game as Akali, and, like, we could have easily won that game. It's just that, like, I was doing a lot of the carry myself, but we couldn't win because our Ashe, our AD carry, just didn't do anything. It's just that, like, yes, you can, like, carry, but it doesn't help if you're carrying to better yourself, not to better the team.
And
That's
where
what
the
people
whole-
don't get about solo queue. It's like, oh, I have 3 kills on my lane as Zed. Should I go help the top lane or go get a kill on the AD carry and support bot lane and then get Dragon? It's not just about you in solo queue, and that's where I think people go wrong.
Because that's where there's a lot of people and there are a lot of pros who say when you're in solo queue you play for yourself, you only care about yourself. But in the game of League of Legends, playing for yourself also means playing for your team.
Yes.
Because your team, no matter how good you are, if the other team has any form of common sense, they'll say, hey, this person's good, damage dealers, kill that person. The rest of their teams, it's like stepping on piles of shit. They're done. It's like stepping on bugs, basically.
Yeah.
You take out, you take out the person who's actually doing
You
things.
take out the
and
raid
you just-
boss, and then...
Exactly. And you step on everyone
Yeah.
else. And it just feels... It feels wrong that a game that's supposed to be a team game
can just easily be stopped by offing
Exactly.
one person, and then the rest of your team just dies.
Here's another little anecdote. There was a game that me and Justin played one time. Wukong
Wukong
Annie.
Annie.
We were the best. We were doing fine.
We did, like, do I have that game in my match history?
I think you should have in mind.
Defeat? No, I don't. Well, it's not in my browser match history. I could probably open it up in full match
Yeah, I don't-
history.
Yeah, here it is. Defeat rank.
Let
I
me
got it.
let me just look that up. I have to log in to see mine. I'll just
Yeah, here it is. So here's Justin. Here's
I'll
me.
do that right now.
Now, I was 6, 11, and 12, which doesn't look good on paper, but I had, me and Justin had the most gold in the team. Now, he was doing better than me, and that's because I was
Give me
going
one-
in and I was doing what I like to do in my playstyle, which is
Give me
I'll
1
go in, I'll
second
make
to-
plays, I'll die,
Load up
I'll get
that game.
other people fed. Because that's how you carry a team, is by
No, I
not
don't
being the
want-
only player who does damage, but by getting it so that way everyone else can do damage with
Okay,
you.
yeah, I'll talk about that in a second as soon as I get the match itself.
So we were fine. We had
Here we go.
a
Annie.
really good ult combo and a really good team fight. We had a Jace with his his empowered
Shock
balls
blast.
of electric shock blast. We had the Alistar. We had the Graves for his collateral damage. Wukong Annie ults really good for engaging. But the rest of the team didn't want to take advantage of
Like,
that.
no.
And they,
No, do you
they-
want to know what happened? So, Jace got first blood on the Nasus, and I'm like, that's amazing. I like seeing
Yeah.
Jace. And then, he killed the Udyr for a double kill. And if you know junglers in solo queue, if you kill them when they have a buff on them, they will come for your booty hole.
Yeah, they'll come back.
And then this
No matter
Jace
what, it's-
was getting all mad and like, oh, I lost my lead. And it's like, well,
You lost your lead, and it's your own fault because I believe I did go top at least once or twice.
I feel like when you...
that game.
I remember that one time you went top and I just was walking up and then we managed to get
Yeah.
him.
Exactly. We managed to do things. Me and Justin were making work. We're making things happen. And that doesn't mean everyone else was completely useless. We're not trying to say that. We're not trying to sound like the people we are. No offense to us. We're not the best players.
Yes, we
'cause
are by
in-
no means
Yeah, we are.
Yerkson
We are
and
in
St.
lower
Vicious
elos
and
where things like
Faker.
this is bound to happen. But at the same time, it really comes down to the fact that if you're going to play a ranked game, you should know how the game functions. You should know how the
You should
players
be
work, 'cause you're-
prepared to...
Exactly.
You should be prepared
And-
for anything to happen to you at any time.
And if you come in and you're unprepared,
No,
you can't
This
get
is
mad
a
at
good
everyone
analogy.
else
It's like
for
a
the fact that
Nocturne
you lost.
ultimate. Like, you hear the darkness,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah, you
like,
hear him
oh,
say-
is he coming top? Is he coming to me, or is he going bot? It's like, be prepared for him. It's like a Cyanal. Oh, is he running away? Is he coming at me?
Exactly.
Be prepared for
Unless if you don't
anything to
see
happen.
where they are, you should leave that position that you're in, because as far as you're concerned, you're not safe there. But when you don't do that, when you don't expect things to happen to you, that's when
Why
the
we
worst
have
shit will happen.
wards. It's like, oh, I'm making this conscious decision to recognize that I might get ganked by the jungler. I should put my ward down and play safe. It's like,
Don't assume because you killed the jungle once they won't come back to your lane.
don't assume that. It's like, this is my favorite. The Instalock song, Follow Me to Victory, that one. It's like, they took his blue, and he got mad. It's like, that's just not a thing. That legitimately happens. Like, if you take someone's, like Elliott said
I can
earlier,
vouch
if
for
you
that.
take
It's
their
frustrating.
jungle, they will be mad at you, and they will put you on their list.
Exactly, and in the end, at the end
It's
of the day,
like when you get hit by that Jinx just as you're about to recall, you're pissed off at that Jinx, and you want to kill her. It's just like that.
and the anger can make you do stupid things, which is why what people don't get. They kind of assume, hey, I killed this jungle, right? He's going to be smart enough not to come back. He's not. It's a human. It's not a bot.
It's a human
being.
instinct to get mad at whoever killed you. Like,
it's a survival.
it's when
thing.
you get
If
when
someone-
you get camped, you're mad.
If someone wrongs you,
You want to
Then you
run
wanna
them
wrong-
back.
yeah. Dean, are you still here?
No, he's doing
Oh, okay.
his own. Wait, is he here? No, I know he's here. He said he was going to go off on his own little talk.
Oh, hi.
I think
So-
so. Well, since our AD carry's not here, I guess you and I can talk about our bot lane. Let me see if I can find a good bot lane match that I did.
I should have some in my history.
Let's see.
No, I don't have any in my history. Don't mind the scumbag Timo. That was a bad day. My match actually looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
But that's because, like, from on paper it looks bad, but when you see me in game, it's a lot better. And I do.
Should I do
I'm
a
more useful
Lulu
than it
game
seems
or
I
a
am.
Lucian game? They both lasted. I'll do the Lucian game. Just like I do it with Dean this game.
So now we're going.
Let's talk about the bot lane.
We're talking about how does the tank meta affect the bot lane? Because we kind of strayed away
Well,
from that topic. We kind of talked about.
Like, you can't see this on Elliott's point of view, but as you can see from my bot lane, I have a Brutalizer and a Pickaxe. Now, I'm not too sure what I was thinking, but Brutalizer, well, this game's actually not a good example because they didn't have a tank.
Yeah, there are those games where people won't follow the meta.
It's
That's the
just
thing that
like,
happens in the
you're
game.
relegated to itemize for tanks. It's like, I remember back in Season 4 when you built Infinity Edge, a crit item, a lifesteal item, a Last Whisper, boots, and Guardian Angel or Banshees, and you'll be fine. But now it sort of seems like you're relegated to get more armor penetration, and it like, Blade of the Rune Cape, it feels like you have to get that to shred their health, because it reduces itemization, because it's like, oh hey, you're not going to be able to use this that much.
Also, I've noticed it tends to make items used wrong. Like Blade of the Ruined King is meant to be an AD item for AD carries who are losing lane and still need to be useful and still need to do damage. That's what Fork was for.
I find Bork to be used for like attack speed based AD carries. Like, people say, oh, get Bloodthirst on Ash. I'm like, I get Blade of the Ruined King on Ash because it works well. It's like, it does % health damage. The active helps you peel. It's like, that's a good item.
Again, % health damage, active heal. Made it more for the AD carries who were behind in lane and were getting bullied by the other AD carry who had their Infinity Edges and their BF swords. Because if you're losing lane, you can't really buy those items. So it was a cheaper alternative. It was easier to build into, and it had more options that would give you kind of the same effect to then make you somewhat useful.
Yeah.
Which people never really noticed.
Oh my god.
I noticed they would be like, okay, listen, I gotta save it for the BF swords. Like, no, you don't. Just build your Blade of the Ruined King, get your damage, come back to being good, and then build your BF swords and your stuff like that. People didn't really do that, which then led to, just led to bad games.
It's like back when they changed crit items. It's like people now had to itemize for crit. Now we have to itemize for armor penetration.
Exactly. Which you should never have to. So no player should ever have to be forced to change their build. You should always have to. You should always still have the rest of the same build. And now I know that sounds kind of stupid because it's like, you're always forced to build things. You're forced to build things based on the comp of the team, but your builds will tend to be different. But
it's like
when you have
most
to
of the
build
time
the same
you get
thing
your
over
same.
and over again, and you're forced
It's like
into.
I'm trying to think of a good champion to talk about this on.
When you're forced into just a standard build path for every game, that's not fun.
It's like
It makes the champions boring.
it's like on.
Makes the champion.
Oh no, we were
makes the champion.
just talking about the bot lane meta and how you're relegated to
Yeah.
one build path, or else.
Hashtag ADCs only Vayne, and then Last Whisper and Yeoman's good.
It's like
so.
It's like Vayne is good at shredding tanks. Callista is good at shredding tanks too, but she's difficult to play.
Yeah. The thing is with bot lane, you have to go over and sit down, look at all the statistics, and say, hey, I need this amount of armor pen. Or I
Okay,
don't do
I
anything.
actually have to go to the bathroom real quick. So you guys just
Alright.
talk about something that
Yeah.
you guys know more about than me, and I'll be right back. Okay?
Okay,
Alright,
Dean.
got you. Basically, why Vayne is like seeing a bunch of play right now, although her range is terrifyingly bad.
It's bad.
The thing is that she has so much armor pen that she's either played or she's played. Because people aren't banning ADCs. No one here has banned an ADC in quite a while.
People don't ban ADCs. It's just not. It's
People
not.
don't ban bot lane for now. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's just, hey, there's a Jinx. Let's pick her.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not first pick. Let's leave her open. Okay, so it's basically the weirdest thing ever, but for whatever reason that's happening. So why Vayne's seeing a whole bunch of play right now? She has armor pen. With the armor pen that she is going to get from the young who goes what else she wants, she's going to shred tanks even more, which is the meta right now, obviously. And
Kill the tanks.
it's basically kill the tanks because you can't reach the backline as Vayne. So what do you need to build? Armor pen, because you can't reach that backline. And when you do reach that backline, they
Okay,
get
I'm
two-shot.
back.
We're just talking about how Vayne is
Yeah.
unable to reach the backline and stuff
Vayne,
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Sivir is seeing play because of her team fight and everything like that.
How the fact that she can be useful even when being behind, which I don't mind. I kind of like that.
It's a good idea for people who
Yeah.
get pooped on.
Or yeah,
For
if you
lack of a
play
better
Sivir,
word.
because you're not going to be a damage dealer in the end, but you'll get fed off of the assist. You'll get the gold and the energy off of the assist, and be put in a better position than you would if you were playing another AD carry that got behind.
It's like supports. It's like you're not expected to get kills. You're expected to help everybody else, and you get your gold off other people doing good.
Exactly.
like-
Yep.
I feel like
I'm pretty
have
sure
ADC
most
that
people
can
will
do that.
unanimously agree that support is the hardest role to carry as because you have to
Yes, 'cause you-
babysit. No offense to those people.
Support mains out there.
No,
no offense to,
to
any
you
AD carries, but
support
you
mains
do have
out
to
there,
babysit.
I feel you because I main support
Yeah.
back when I started playing.
Same.
Here's a little
Can
Can you
Support.
imagine a guy who just started playing League of Legends main support? Just imagine the amount of crap you'd get.
Yeah.
Shout out to
That's
you
the problem.
support mains.
Hashtag the community of League
Let-
of Legends doesn't make the meta any better.
Should we talk about the community now?
Yeah, because the community and the
Okay,
meta
well,
are
let's. I know Elliott wants to talk about this as well, and I personally want to talk about this too. Let's talk about everyone's favorite movie, Bard.
Yeah. No one... People... Bard is a Vel'Koz to me, where people don't think he's a good champion because he doesn't see a lot of play. People
No,
don't seem
okay,
to
so
understand
this is a
things he
story
can
that
do.
I personally had 3 days ago. Actually, it was more of a week ago because I remember that game. No, it wasn't a week ago, 3 days ago. I was playing support. I hovered over Soraka because I had no idea. Then I hovered over Bard, and one of the people in Champions was like, "Oh God, no, not Bard." And then I ended up playing Lulu that game, which is entirely relevant. Just that, if you like, what if I really enjoyed playing Bard? Like, what if I loved Bard as a champion?
And you were really good at it.
Like,
but people are not
it's like,
accepting it.
personally for me, if I love a champion design, I will probably end up playing them a lot. It's why I play Ahri. It's why I play Riven.
Here's like, basically what's going on here is that ignorance is bliss in the League of Legends community.
It's like Oh, did you want to? Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, in that when you have champions
like Bard and Vel'Koz.
Like Bard is very, very useful if you're good at Bard. If you can land your Q, if you can land your ult, he's game changing.
No. Okay, so I actually have a couple of other friends in Skype chatterman who I play League of Legends with, and I told them this story, and they're like, "Why is everyone yelling at Bard?" I'm like, "Because he's not your stay-at-home support. He's made to roam." Just that.
Yeah, he's meant to leave lane every once in a while, pick up his chimes, maybe help the
maybe
mid lane,
like plop down a health pack somewhere. Like that's what I always do. If I'm roaming, I'll plop down a health pack for him.
Yeah, it's good to have other positions, like a support that can move around and doesn't have to stay in lane.
But people are hive mind and they're addicted to the one top, one mid, two bot lane, one jungle meta.
Exactly.
And then go.
And your bot lane stays in the bot lane. You shouldn't act like a jungle, which I feel like once you win your lane, roam all you want. It really doesn't matter.
Or if you're like if you're like Zed, LeBlanc, Ahri, Katarina,
pick up a
Talon,
kill. You can
Yasuo.
You can roam. You can get kills.
Or if you take teleport.
Yeah.
And then going off from what I was talking about earlier about like, if I really love Bard's design, which personally I'm a big fan of it, I like the way he looks. I like his musical information. Like, if you're in Champion Select and you tell me, "Ew, don't pick Bard, he's such a terrible champion," that's gonna make me feel like I'm not even like it's like, what? So what if he's a terrible champion? What if I am best Bard NA? It's like, no, he's shit.
Yeah.
Pardon the language, but it's like, no, he's shit. I know this because I know that Bard is terrible because
I saw that so and so professional player on Dignitas say Bard's a bad champion.
It's like it goes back to that hive mind.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's from the pro mind.
No, there's this whole hive mind mentality that so and so, it's either so and so is good in the meta or so and so is bad meta. It's like,
and
it's so weird because wasn't it like just a week ago that everyone was like, "Oh my god, Urgot mid is OP," and now, like in the little like, excuse me, in like this thing right here, you never see Urgot anymore.
Yeah, you don't.
I think it's definitely the pros, like whether they know it or not, they have some impact on this.
They have a large impact, which is why I would like, and a lot of pros say it because some of them get it. Like I've heard seen Odd One say this a bunch of times. If you're good at a champion, then play that champion.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not good at like a certain champion, but you want to get your free low, here are your OP easy to play champions. Play these.
And then that goes back to like, I'm trying to think of like, well, Bard for one,
but
Vel'Koz,
the community.
Who's another like champion that people are like, Poppy. Like, Tarek, they're, like, so few people actually play those champions. No offense to those of you who actually, like, made those champions. You are in a minority that when you play them, you're bound to be amazing against anybody because they don't know how to play against them.
Exactly.
But if you're the person in Champion Select who's playing Cho'Gath because Bjergsen did it, who's playing Runan's Kalista because of Sneaky. If you're playing Nautilus support and you tell that Poppy player, that Alistar player, that Bard player, that Vel'Koz player not to play them because you don't think they're good.
Because your favorite pro player doesn't say that they're good.
Then you're no worse than the people who will end up like then you're no worse than people who yell at you.
You are basically a toxic player.
And then
Yeah,
that's
you're
just
just as worse
in
as them.
Champion Select. In game is a whole. We all know that in game toxicity is rampant. It's
Yeah.
like
That's what the community is about.
it's like
basically.
you get level
Doesn't mean
1
everyone's
invaded
toxic,
and
'cause there's good
it's,
people.
No,
but-
okay.
There are good people, but it's rare.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be changed.
It's like
There really needs to be a better.
most,
that's
if
a
not
fact.
all, the toxicity I find in League is aimed at either jungle or support.
Because people
People
don't-
expect
lot
a
of people don't
jungler
understand.
because this is why I don't play jungle at all because I find it too much issue. They expect you to be everywhere at once, right? Like
Like
Elliott
if
can
I'm
talk
going
about
into
this.
top lane and you ping for assistance in the bot lane, you can't get mad at me for not being there because I'm not close to where you are. I'm on the opposite side of the map. In order for me to walk down there and get there, it takes a lot of time, and people will be like, "Oh, you weren't here." Blah blah blah. It's like, listen, I was in top lane. The amount of time it would take me to walk down there is too high, and by then you would have been dead, and then I would have just wasted my time walking here and there. When I can make more use of my time ganking top,
Burning a flash
coming-
or forcing
burning a
him
flash
to
or
back
something
and
like that.
teleport back
take
to
a
lane.
couple camps, and then when I'm down on bot lane, if there's an opportunity to gank, I will gank. But if it's not going to be convenient for me to get there, I'm not going to do it because that's a waste of my
another
time.
thing.
And that leads to me getting
Like
down.
we'll talk about toxicity for sports later. Like people don't learn to celebrate the little victories. Like who's a champion that can like easily kill you if you don't have like you're playing Annie, you're playing Jarvan, you're playing Lux, who can easily like burn a flash, and if you don't have flash, he can easily kill you. And the jungler comes
say-
in and burns their flash. You're gonna say like, oh, so and so flash 2142 or whatever, and you're mentally going to make the note that I can kill this person right now. And it's like it leads you to getting the kills. But most people, when you like gank and you burn a flash,
This is low elo. This isn't
not
high elo.
not
This is
high.
like-
This is low elo perspective.
This is what needs to
It's
change.
like
Yeah.
if you don't kill them, if you gank, you're doing something wrong. It's like, yes, but I burned their flash, and now in the next 5 minutes, I can come down again and do even
And kill
hope
them.
Exactly.
either kill them,
People-
force them to back, so we can take
Didn't-
dragon, get the tower.
It's like, and at
They
the
don't
same time,
celebrate the little victories because it's all about getting kills.
another really small thing that people never understand is when even if you ping for instance, blah blah blah, or if you don't ping and I walk through your lane and that person leaves, that's a really good thing because now here you go. Here's
Pressure.
some free CS
like-
for you. Here's some pressure. Here's my built-in fear that I get just from being a jungler.
It's like that sense of fear when you see the Pantheon ult, you see a Ziggs ult, you see a Lux ult, a Xerath
Exactly.
ult.
It puts pressure on you.
You
on
see
the
a
other,
Xerath
on the
ult.
enemy to
You
not
see a Cannon
be there.
coming in with his E about to ult you. You see the knockup from Cho'Gath or whatever. It's fear is important in League of Legends because it gets people to like think about what to do next.
Yeah, it's like, listen, if I see if I'm in a lane, if I'm in mid lane, if I see the jungle walk through, I'll back off because I know that if I stay there at all, I don't know if he's ganking.
I don't know if he's
walking through.
taking Scuttle
Who
Crab.
knows?
I don't know if he's going to Wolf Camp. He could be.
I don't know if he's gonna try and
He
kill
could
me.
just be
So
sitting
the
there
best
waiting to
option
burn
is
my
to just
flash,
not.
and then
Yeah, the best.
I'll be stuck
best
under
option is
tower
just to not
for
be
the
there.
next 5 minutes.
Yeah, so the best option is just to not be there, and people don't seem to understand the value of making your enemy laner not there.
And then you have the people who like that going off on that whole pressure thing. It's like this mostly happens to me because mid lane man. It's like I'll be playing like somebody who doesn't roam at all. I'll play like a Karma, even though I would play Lissandra, I would play Lux, Malzahar, or Orianna kinda. It's like I'm back at my tower getting a huge wave. I ping my Mia. Pinging is also very important.
Yeah,
And then like
ping.
the Zed goes down by and gets a double kill because they were overextended all the way up to their tower without wards. They blame it on you for not like doing anything when they think they're entitled to blame everybody else for their mistakes.
When in truth, you did everything. You pinged
Like,
that
if,
this person isn't
if
there.
I'm sitting at
If
my
you're-
tower and there's a siege minion wave, siege minions are important to get because it's like 50 gold. It's like,
Exactly.
that's a,
But it's not worth your life.
it's like, that's why. I remember very frequently when we were all making the league team, Dean himself was like, if you're about to roam on somebody, what is the first thing you do? Push the wave. It forces them to either somebody to come mid to, or else they miss EXP, or take damage on their tower.
put them in. You kind of have to put them in a bad position where there's no
There's
good
no right
decisions,
answer.
but one is less bad than the other.
It's like, it's why, like, if you're in the middle, like, you're literally in the middle of mid lane. You're in the middle of mid lane, and you see your enemy lane was missing. You're either going to you're probably going to push the lane and then follow them, and then because you want them to miss as much XP as possible, and then you want to help out your team. It's like
yeah.
Or you're gonna go back and get an
Yeah.
advantage and then
it's
stomp
like
them when they come back.
celebrate the
Exactly.
little victories. People are too focused on like, oh, let's kill.
They're too focused on the nexus to understand how everything affects the
Yes.
actual act of
This
getting
is-
there.
This
Besides
is
getting
why
the
I
tower,
like
getting
the
in hit, they don't
dragon
care.
buff in this game, because it celebrates being on time with everything.
Exactly.
It's like, oh,
Before Dragon was like, here, have some global gold. You know, it was useful. It wasn't that good, but now it's a lot
It's like-
better because it's
like people before the 5-stack dragon came out, they would like time it so they know like, oh, they're gonna be doing it then. We can fight them then. But now you time it because you want that
yeah.
extra
You want
AD.
to get
You
to
want
that fifth dragon.
You want that damage to
fifth dragon
towers.
so
You
can
want the
end
movement
the game with that
speed.
Baron.
It's like it rewards you for, and then it rewards you for communicating with your team. Like you always, it's either the jungler or the support to time dragon, to time buffs, to time baron. It rewards communicating, and I find like the last 3 champions they've released in order were Callista, Rek'Sai, and Bard. Like Callista, communication is like the most important thing you need on Callista. Right? We can all agree on that.
Yeah, with the ult, well, for her ult and unique
Yes,
communication.
Rek'Sai, she can be anywhere, so you need to communicate with that stuff. And for Bard, you need to talk about like where you're going to be going.
When you're
It's
gonna
like,
be leaving and when you're gonna be back.
It's
Yeah,
like-
when you're gonna pop your ult, when you're gonna
Yes.
go to top lane, when you're gonna go
based
mid
on
lane.
this, I
things like
think
that.
that Riot is trying to make the game more focused on communication, but people are too
Because-
focused on
But
getting that elo by destroying the Nexus to focus on all the little things that'll happen.
which will then lead to you getting that elo. So basically, this was supposed to be a rant about the meta, but it turned into a rant about the game.
It was originally
Yeah.
As a whole.
supposed to be on how we don't like the tank. We kind of touched on that in the beginning, but then we sort of just like talked about like our stance
we
on the
started
game
talking
in
about the
general.
community and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Just problems with the game in general. No, this by no means
This
means that
by
we don't like
League of Legends is
We
probably
love
one of
it,
our
we
favorite
play
games
every day.
ever.
This is like the
It's
game
like
that is
we
life.
don't mean to offend anybody in this video. If we offended you, we apologize greatly from the
Sorry.
bottom of our hearts. We
Yeah.
did not mean to offend you in any way. Riot, we love you. This is just our stance on what you guys are doing. I mean,
And how we can possibly help out the
one
community.
person
let's-
might watch
let's-
this, 100 people might watch this, 1,000. The whole League community could watch this, for all I care. But this is how we feel about this.
Yeah, so let's just go into some topics about how you could fix the game. And it was really funny. It's really funny. I'm listening to a song as I'm saying that. There's a thing that says, "Who are you to fix this world?" But but what are some ways that Riot or the community things that they can do to fix the game? Now I have one, which is for ranked. Ranked solo queue, duo queue is a bubble of like. It's where friendship and friendliness goes to die.
I want to talk about duo queue. If you're duo queue, you're either bot lane people or you're solo lane in a jungle. Those are like
Yeah,
the
really-
only places where duo queue would actually be helpful.
Yeah.
Unless
Other
you're
than
like
that, you
really
should-
good friends with the people and you have synergy.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Mhm.
But other than that, it's like
Try
It's
not
like
to, try not to
either
do
you can play alone or you can play with one of your friends. Or you need to have
Yep.
4 other of your friends so you can do ranked 5s.
which don't actually affect
Which is a whole other
your
thing, because
personal
what if
ranked
you
play.
just want to go like ranked with 4 of your other friends, but you don't want to go up against people who like have synergy all the time?
Or if you want to play with like, hey, I want to invite my friend who plays top lane and mid lane, and I'll go jungle. That way, I have more synergy with.
They're
more members of
going in the
team
right
than just one.
direction with doing the team builder thing, I find.
Yes, but I feel like a ranked game, if ranked allowed you to have 1 or 2 more people, like 3 to 4 people that you can queue
I
up with.
think it should be duo queue and then trio queue. Tri queue.
Yeah, I feel like
Not quadra queue, because that would just be like having a whole team.
Yeah, basically.
but just because right now you have communication with one person
Like,
on the team, which isn't
that's
enough.
40% of the people in game.
Which, in reasoning, is why Cursed Voice actually made an appearance at some point.
Yeah, but no one, even if you're like, hey, I don't have cursed voice, everyone says no. I know I say no.
I
have
don't
cursed
like
voice, but
talking
I don't wanna talk
because
with you.
people
don't
will
know- I
still
don't
be
know you. I don't
toxic
know if
to
you're-
you, even if they're talking to you
Exactly.
or not.
It's like I don't know if you're a toxic player or not. I don't know you. I don't want to. I'm not going to forcibly communicate with you, even if we are playing this game, where communication is key. Because
And then if they are toxic, you can't even report them because they don't have anything against them
exactly.
in
Yes.
chat.
So it's just it all just comes back boiling back to the community with all the problems that the game really does. Most of them do come from the community, which everyone knows. And Riot, you do have your part in that.
We're not
But
trying to
Riot,
call
you don't have
we
to
are
take the blame.
we are 100%
Have
not
to.
trying to blame you for this. We're just saying that this is
It-
collectively anybody involved with League of Legends. It's somewhat they have a say in it. We do this sometimes even.
We, as little tiny bronze and silver players, we have says in things.
Yeah, people don't tend, like, no offense, but Riot, you guys tend to ignore a lot of the bronze and silver players, and you focus mainly on your pro scene, which isn't okay because we play the game too.
Granted, they are making you money,
Yeah.
but we're trying to help you just as much.
Yeah, we're playing your game. We spend
We
money on
spend
your game. We
like
have
an hour, 2 hours out of our day to play like 3 or 4 games. It's like we appreciate what you're doing on the game as a whole, but we'd like the mystery gifting thing. That was a nice thing that Riot did to respect like all of the players. It's like I know they're planning on doing more stuff like that, but just keep doing that. It'll make us feel
you need to
like we
you need
matter
to kind of
in the grand
based
scheme
on
of things.
you can't. People tend to assume that low elo players think a champion's OP because they're
Because
not good at the game,
we've seen
which
them get
can be
fed
true.
before.
Which can be true. But and in the case of some champions, it is 100% true. Like people will be like, "Oh my god, blah 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 is so OP, needs nerf now."
Better
And it's
nerf
like,
Aurelia.
You're playing like Galio. Like just, no, you're just losing to that champion. But there are some OP champions that we see that pros don't touch because they're more solo queue focused, and those champions just kind of rise like, oh, it's fine, we'll handle that, another day. We have to go nerf Cassidon because he's seeing too much pro play. Like, just no. You need to,
That's the
you need
whole
to
other
nerf.
battle of worms and Cassin. That'll be
Yeah.
in our next rant when we talk about champions.
Yeah. Champion.
Yeah.
We just
Champions.
go through the list, talk about our opinions of each and every one of the champions.
Where
Oh
were we?
god.
That'll take like
Uh,
5 days.
We were covering.
Yeah,
we were
that'd be lovely.
we were covering how you can make the game better. So we'll just go through. I'll start, then Justin,
Okay.
then Dean, or
Yeah,
Dean, Justin. I don't care. But
Yeah.
so here's my thing. With ranked, where it's a little sphere where friendliness goes to die, and in that sphere, there's a lot of toxicity, and it's not okay. And I feel like people in ranked that are toxic don't get punished enough for ruining someone else's game, for costing someone else their elo, or costing someone else their series, or costing someone else their placement in their provisionals. They just don't. And I feel like the way it should work is if you get reported enough, like say you get reported 4 times for being for some reason, for like some sort of toxic
Verbal abuse.
verbal abuse, AFK, something that's a toxic thing, you get banned from rank for, it was a day, right? Or was
I
it a
think
week?
it
It was a
Oh,
week.
week.
For a week.
We
You're not
said,
allowed
we
to-
said a week, but I think that was
Yeah,
a little
it
harsh.
might be a little
like,
too harsh.
maybe for like 2 days you can't play ranked.
You can play every other
If
queue,
you do-
but you
if-
just can't do ranked.
Yeah. If it happens again, 4 days. If it happens again, a week. If it happens again, 2 weeks. If it happens again, 3 weeks. And it'll keep stacking until the point where you're banned from rank, removed from rank for a year, for 2 years. It'll keep going to the point where people will be like, okay, listen, maybe I shouldn't be being toxic, or they'll just leave the game altogether. Either one, not gonna lie, I kinda don't mind. People will go and they'll make Smurf accounts, but that's gonna take them
But-
time to get to level 30.
Do you mind if
So-
I jump off on that? It's
Oh,
like
yeah, sure.
the toxicity in rank is mainly because people want to win. And then, like I said before with the killing your blue buff from that Insect song, the casual song that they made, it's like, so what if I'm doing this in a normal game? It's meant to be fun. I wouldn't do this in a ranked game. It's people don't understand
Exactly.
that there are different types of queues. It's like normal is not a ranked queue, and if
I've
I'm
had
playing
people yell at
AP
me in
Garen
queue
in a
for it.
ranked game, there's probably something wrong. No offense to any
Or either
AP
that,
Garen
or
names
you're-
out there, but
Either that, or you actually find AP Garen to be a good thing and it's actually successful.
APE.
we
Oh, the
I
days.
me and Elliott weren't there for that.
It's scary.
What-
Don't
What,
try to
AP
picture it.
Garen?
No, APE.
Oh.
I was there for AP
Let's
Sejuani. I
jump away from that.
participated in AP Sejuani. It was glorious.
Mhm.
It was. There's those secretly OP things that, again, I kind of don't like because it takes a champion out of their main role and puts them into a different position that they
Brand.
kind of shouldn't be. Brand support.
I
Cough, cough,
remember
dark.
when that came out. You got so mad.
I was so mad because I'm like, Brand shouldn't be a support. He shouldn't. He's not a support. He's a support. And
That's
it just-
another
it was
thing.
not
Do you mind if
okay.
I branch off again?
Go ahead.
So, he exaggerated on the support, and it's like, Annie, I see this a lot on Sona, I see this every game. It's like, if I play a support, I'm going to go full support. Like, I will get Sightstone, I'll get a Locket, I'll get things with auras that will help the team. Most of the time, for like, I can understand getting like Azanias on like Morgana and Annie and people like that, but most of the time I'll see supports like get their support on, they'll get a Sightstone, then they'll just go full AP. It's like, yeah,
Full AP.
it's
Yeah.
like, I
you're
understand
not
why
support.
you would do that, but like, if you have like an Annie and a LeBlanc on your team, LeBlanc can do that enough. I don't know, just another thing I see. I'm not saying that it's bad or anything, I just don't get it.
I don't like when people try and like, and I do it. Don't get me wrong. I'll do it. But I won't do it in a solo queue game. I won't do it in a game where it actually matters. I'll do it every once in a while. Just have a little fun. It's fine. Like if I want to play a normal game, if I want to go Bard jungle, I'll go Bard jungle. But you won't see me do it
Like-
in a ranked game
I'll
because
let you finish this time.
I don't agree with that whole. If this is ranked, okay, this is where you take things seriously, and this is the serious game mode.
And like for me, these guys know me. I will literally. I've played like I've played Caitlyn top. I've played Kalista top, Lucian top, Quinn top, Vayne top. I bring 80 carries pretty much anywhere. Would I do that in rank? I'd bring Quinn top in rank because that's a respected thing. Would I do Lucian top in ranked? Probably not. It's just like, I personally know the difference between the fun mode and the serious mode, and I don't think people understand that there's a distinct difference.
Okay, now back to what I was saying before about the whole rank thing, and I was basically done. And again, it'll discourage people too. If you keep getting stopped from playing ranked, even if you make a Smurf, you'll be a low level. You'll have to go back to level 30, and you'll do it again, and it'll keep happening. You're on email addresses eventually, blah blah blah, and it'll start to change the way ranked games work, because there's plenty of ranked games where your team is nice, but you have that one toxic player
Who
or that one troll
completely
player who comes in.
Shuts everything down because, like we said way back, it's a team game. In the end,
Exactly, but that one person basically does things, and they kind of become like a not player. They become
it becomes a 5v4.
and it's not okay. So that's that. I feel like unskilled also if you get reported for unskilled enough, you should start. You should lose more. You
I
should get more elo for winning if you're unskilled. But if you lose, you should also lose more. You should have a bigger loss gain thing.
okay. Dean,
Up to
do
a
you
certain
want to
point.
talk about?
I want to talk about a little bit of the community. So
by
if you're
fair.
in it to win it, you have to think how other people feel. If you go over and use all caps only, obviously they're going to be threatened.
Either they're going to think you're an idiot, or they're going to think you get extremely pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you're talking
It depends
about.
on,
Also.
like, if you post, like, a joke,
I mean, if you're saying what Drake is when Drake
like,
is up,
if you post
Or
a
you're like-
joke in
you're like-
all caps, I like, take it as, like, yelling it to make it even funnier and not laugh at it.
yeah,
Or you're
you're playing,
yeah,
like,
good job in all
Show
caps.
Gap and Kazakhs and you want to, like, say something and you're yelling it, I'm fine. I find that stuff hilarious. More people need to do that.
yeah, and then like that ups people's
Morale.
feeling, you know?
It's like,
Yeah, and when you go over and talk trash about him, like, hey, I just found these digging around in the trash the other day. I'm sitting there like, you dude, he just like killed his morale. Like, what are you doing? He's not gonna play as well as he could. That's what people need to kind of look at, because from my experience from going up from bronze 5 to silver 3 in that little short time span, it's if you keep the team on a good spot, you will most likely win.
And at the same time, people kind of expect that if you tell someone they're bad, that they're going to start playing better. And they're like, oh, well, they'll have to prove me wrong. If you tell someone they're bad and you keep insulting them, they're just going to get mad. They're going to play worse because they're angry. They're not going to help the team.
They're not going to be as
Yeah.
concentrated.
Exactly.
They're going to be distracted by you going and being.
They're going to be more focused on what they're going to say to you in response to your next comment than than the actual game. So, as Sky Williams once said, I forgot what he said, but he said, suck some dick, okay? Compliment people on what they do good. If they do something wrong, be like, it's okay, just try better, we'll get them next
Okay.
time. Be a nice
Can I-
person. And
can I bounce off of that for my little thing? Like I said
Yes.
earlier, you have to learn to celebrate the small victories in life. Like Dean said, if they're playing bad, don't call them out on it. And like Elliott said, like, oh, it's okay, you were so close to killing him, just he popped the potion, I'll help you out, so and so. It's like, if your mid lane gets first blood, be like, good job, keep it up. If you burn a flash, put the timer in the chat. It's the little things that will add up in the end. It's like killing minions. It's like, yeah, one minion gives me 17 gold. But if I get 20,
Okay.
that's like 400
a lot
gold.
of
If we
gold.
get 50, that's a lot of gold. If we get 100 minions, it's just,
Okay, Justin, I'm just gonna cut you off. We're at like an hour
Yeah,
and
I
30
know.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say
So-
one last
yeah.
thing, and
Well,
then,
and then we'll sign
Yeah.
off.
All right.
Yep.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So basically, what I'm seeing here is that people go over and point out the bad things. Obviously, I just talked about this, but instead of saying, "Oh my God, you just killed that Sion," and then you got killed for that from the whole entire team, they have more assists and everything like that. But the thing is, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to point out, "Hey, they burned out 3 flashes."
They
You're
used
supposed
3
to
of
point
their
out,
ultimates.
Dragon's gonna be back up in
They
7
used
minutes.
3 ultimates
6
on
minutes.
me.
Sorry.
They did this and this.
Yeah, these cooldowns will be back up this time.
That's when
That's
we
what you
engage
need,
on
guys,
them.
to be
That's when
the
we
point.
win the team fight. It's just,
Yeah, and then you have to take responsibility for your actions. Obviously, if you're doing poorly, man up to it. But
it's like
think
people
before
will respect
you
you
do.
more if you own up. Well, in theory,
people will
in
be
theory,
easier on
people
you
will
if you-
respect you more if you're like, sorry guys, I'm having a bad game. I apologize for weighing you down. Carry me, please.
Mhm.
Odds are, like, 3 times out of 10, if you do that, or more like,
They won't hold you as accountable for
Yes.
not doing well as they would if you didn't
as,
say anything.
as
Say, you'd be like, by the way, first time, blah blah blah, or I'm trying out a new build, so
Yeah.
don't hold it against me. And 90% of the players won't insult you because like it's okay.
it's
he's
like
trying
I
something new,
was
it's not
there
really-
one time. I played tank,
Yeah.
whatever.
I played AP Kha'Zix once. It's all
Yeah.
good.
It's like I
And
did
if-
AD
and if
carry
held in
Janna.
the build. Sometimes they'll tell you, "Hey, that build doesn't work. Trust me, I've done it before. It's not a good thing." And it's good to inform your team. It's good. it all boils down to this.
Communication.
Communication is
That's
key.
what
in
I
League of
find
Legends.
Riot's been doing.
And not bad communication.
Good communication.
Good,
Yes.
more, good,
Like
good
with-
communication.
Telling someone they're
Is not
bad
going to
isn't
help.
shouldn't. Yeah, it's not going to help anything.
Like,
Other than maybe you getting reported at the end of the game.
like I just.
Yeah, that
Do you mind if I close this thing out? Because, like
Yeah,
I
go
said
ahead.
earlier,
Go for it.
with the strain of champions they've released, I think Riot's focusing more on actively communicating with the team, making this more of a team game and not a solo queue game. With so, if you guys just skip completely to the end of this video, I just want you to know, be nice, be excellent to each other. Just communicate nicely with each other. Congratulate them on doing so and so.
And stop yelling at Riot to nerf champions because one got fed in one game and that person didn't.
If your top lanes in their
'Cause-
promotions to Diamond 5 or whatever say, "Don't worry, we'll try to do our best to help you along."
Yeah.
Be
if you're-
nice.
If someone's in their if someone's like, guys, these are my provisionals, don't screw them over. Don't screw over other players because you get upset because you get frustrated. If you get frustrated in the game, there's a little technique that I learned, which is before a game, just kind of be in a very just big position. I learned this watching a GBay video. Take up as much space as possible, and you'll be more confident. And if you stay like that for the whole game, you'll have a
And
better
I know
game.
that
It's
Elliott
actually
just told
helped
me
me.
recently, he made a thing where if he dives, he'll do 2 of a certain kind of exercise.
Yeah. I'll exercise. Now I'm getting
Yeah.
physically fit. I'm being enticed to
Yeah.
play better. I found my own way to
It's like
improve my play.
Communication, being able to improve on mistakes. Those are the 2 main things I feel people need to get out of this video. So with
So
an
out of all
hour and a half,
ranting.
I'd like to thank you all for listening to our little rant.
for our little
And if
rant.
you actually
If
stayed,
you stayed through the whole
congratulations,
video,
you did it.
you will earn a cookie. You get a
Yeah,
poro.
you get a cookie.
Not
poro
by us,
snack.
but
Yeah.
maybe by your mother. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe
You'll
someone
get a
will give you
Poro
cookie,
snack.
Who knows?
So, this is
Someone should.
I'm
give you a
Breezy64,
I am Elliott, the Below Zero Gamer on Below Zero
I'm
Gaming.
and
chilling.
thank you all for watching, and we'll see
We're
you later.
Signing off.
Peace.
Stay frosty.
Peace out.